Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. With me today, as always, is my co-host, Troy Brittingham.
Hey.
And back from the dead, Chris Carroll. How are you, bud?
With a little PSA. Folks, no matter what you're doing, right here, right now, get on the floor and stretch out your lower back, because I pulled something in mine, and I was on the floor for 6 hours and writhing in agony.
You remind me of that Family Guy bit of Carter Peterschmidt, and he's like, my back is hurting from the chair I'm sitting on. Where's the Tylenol? If I lay down flat on the floor, it usually sort of fixes it.
So let me tell you, laying on the floor didn't fix it.
So, boys, we are here today to discuss not only from last week, but also continuing this week, Matt Reeves, the Batman. Let's go with the theme song.
No. Oh, yeah. Chris, you missed a thing with Moon Knight. Jeff is determined to make this into just a Matt Reeves, the Batman podcast. He wants every episode to be Matt Reeves, Batman.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to talk about the Riddler again, and Batman again, and Catwoman
I think
again.
Paul Dano did an amazing job as the Riddler.
Yeah. Do you see the problem here?
Yes. Jeff, you're off the podcast.
Oh.
I don't know where we're going to record.
We are now going to record Matt Reeves, the Batman.
Oh, no.
There's a podcast that does the movie Airplane, but they take every minute of the movie and make that for first minute is the first episode, like dissecting all the jokes and all the things going on. The second minute is the second episode of the podcast.
I saw that done with Star Wars, I think.
I want to turn this into a Matt Reeves, the Batman minute by minute podcast.
I feel like those other two are more fun.
So for this third minute, we're just going to be discussing the Riddler standing there silently as the mayor paces in the foreground.
Mm-hmm.
This is an ad to tell you that the Batman is now streaming on HBO Max. Please go
How
watch
much
the
is
Batman.
DC paying you?
Nothing. This is all a labor of love. This is all because I love that Bat
How
dick.
many zeros do you love?
7 zeros.
How many are after a decimal?
All 7.
They gave you a crisp $5 bill.
That's too generous.
No, they took approximately $17 from him.
They bought you another ticket to the Batman's starring Robert Pattinson, directed by Matt Reeves.
And Zoe Kravitz and Jeffrey Wright. Come on, there's an all-star cast. No, in reality, if Chris is here, that can only mean one thing. It is that we are catching up on Halo on Paramount+.
He also does a lot of other episodes.
No, he doesn't. Chris is only here for Halo. As soon as Halo is gone, so is Chris. Goodbye.
Huh.
Yep, I'm leaving the state.
That's true, actually. That.
I don't know if you should have said that on the podcast, because aren't you officially on the run from the law?
Jeff, let's run that theme song one more time.
Oh, yeah, you got it, bud. Absolutely not. This is my show, not yours, monkeys. You all fucking dance for me. I am the god here. This is my domain. This is a weird episode.
Jeff, I can't dance.
You can't dance. Your back is fucked.
Oh, God, his back is making all these crackling sounds.
All right, Halo, episodes 4 and 5. We are catching up with all things Halo this week, because we missed last week because Chris was immobile. And as the podcast #1 Halo guy, I didn't feel right doing it without him. So we waited.
Thanks, Jeff.
4 was like, yeah, we can do half an episode on this. I feel like there's not a whole lot to cover. I feel like we can get through it.
Yep.
And then 5, I was almost there. I was almost like, yeah, this one's also kind of not. It's a little
then
bit.
Last 5 minutes.
And then it gets really, really good.
Within the last hour and a half of Halo, the last 10 minutes was pretty good.
So let's go Halo, episode 4.
Episode 4 picks up with John heading back to his home planet with his parents of Erasmus II, and he is looking for the second artifact. He believes it's buried outside the family home because he has that memory of his dad making him bury something. So he's walking around, and they dig something up, and sure enough, it's not the artifact. It's this big old box, and in it is all of John's drawings as a kid. Drawings of the artifact, and also a circular structure. I wonder what that could be.
A basketball. He's really tall and really athletic, so it makes sense.
What you didn't notice under the drawings is all of his Kevin Durant cards.
Ooh. They're like, son, he's been dead for 140 years.
He had Kevin Durant. He had Marcus
please,
Smart.
like 500 years.
Sorry.
Yeah, come on. Don't make this, super old.
Well, we don't know how long Kevin Durant's going to live.
That's true.
You know what?
He could be 300 years
I
old.
didn't account for the fact that Kevin Durant becomes a lich.
And then they have to get the rest of the basketball players to try to kill him and destroy all of his phylacteries.
That's actually what's in the net.
That's actually the net, yeah.
That's Space Jam 3.
Oh my god. And then he's got his Larry Bird collectible card on the bottom there, and then he's got his MJ card, and then you gotta have Shaq in there. No collection is complete without Shaquille
Before we
O'Neal.
continue, thumbs on this episode.
Thumbs on episode 4. It's up, I guess.
After
Troy?
seeing 5, I'm going to say 4 is down.
Chris?
I'm going to give it 1 thumbs up and 1 thumbs down because it's effectively 2 shows at this point.
Yeah, we did talk about this, where the Soren plot and the John
Soren and
plot,
Kwan Ha plot versus
there's
the
2
John.
different shows.
Yeah, it seems really odd that there's like 2 protagonists because there's one that I actually care about and there's one that I don't give a fuck
See,
about.
right until the end of 5, I had the opinion of this thing is more... I was actually on the side of Soren and Kwan Ha are more interesting right now because they're actually doing stuff, and I was like, I see who, like, the villain is.
Yeah.
Like, it kept going back to Johnny. He was just like, yeah, I'm looking at some rocks. I'm talking to my science mommy. I'm talking to this blue lady.
Science mommy.
And
That's
it's like, there's not a whole lot of tension
We're
happening.
going to isolate that audio later.
We should put that on like a plaque on Halsey's desk. It's like Dr. Catherine Halsey, science mommy.
That's her official title. But it's like he's just kind of wandering around, like discount Mark Zuckerberg's there. Like it's really like a whole thing where it's just like he's just walking through an abandoned house, and I'm just like, I thought to myself like halfway through that episode, I was like, what's the conflict? And then
Well, the conflict in that scene in particular, and this whole like plot of them being on Radmus 2, is that John is now unsuppressed. He can fully experience his emotions and memories, and he is now in his home, literally from when he was a kid. And so Halsey is really concerned that he's gonna stumble accidentally upon the truth, and the truth is, Chris,
that Halsey and Keyes basically interviewed him while his parents were still alive, then proceeded to kidnap him and replace him with a Flash clone, which died a couple years later.
Exactly. And Halsey is terrified of John learning the truth because even though Halsey is indulging this because she wants to find the second artifact, she doesn't want him to discover the truth because she still needs to control him. If she can no longer control John, he's no longer an asset, he's an enemy, and that is real bad news considering he's the face of the UNSC movement right now.
yeah,
So, and even beyond that, he is literally a super soldier, and he's like the best one there is. So
That
being uncontrollable is real bad news.
that I all understand. It's just that's a really good like, not even subplot. It would still be the main plot, but it needs to be like under like they need to throw on a sheet of tension, and 5 ends with that. But also, we're in episode.
I felt
5.
that in 4. Did you not feel it in the house?
I did not.
I
was
felt a little like I don't want to like overplay this because it does not deserve the comparison at all because it's inferior, but a little Hitchcocky vibes.
Okay.
Where Halsey's like looking at him and she's real fucking concerned. You can see it all over her face because John is seeing the memories of him as a child walking through his house and he's straight up interacting with them, like talking to his child self. And Halsey can't see what's going on. She has no idea. Cortana can't see what's going on. This is all John. So fucking Halsey's shitting her pants and you can see it all over her face.
Right.
She's real fucking scared about what's about to happen. But at the same time, if she doesn't let this happen, they're never going to find that second artifact. And that's what they need to do. So it's this real like tension-y moment. I was like, holy shit, Halsey's scared. This is great.
There's actually quite a bit of a huge piece of fan service in this scene where they're like flipping the coin and Halsey calls out like he flipped it 10 times and got each guess correct. This is like a pivotal scene that decides in Halsey's mind that John is special beyond normal humans. Because
he's actually Gambit and he can guess a coin flip correctly every time.
And then
the coin explodes.
I was kidding. Are you serious?
He has some unknowable luck factor that Halsey can't quantify, and it's basically his ace up his sleeve.
Okay.
Like me with this podcast. Anyway.
Yeah, you're the ace up my sleeve.
Wait a minute. That sounds sexual.
I'm all for all of that, and at risk of sounding like somebody with zero attention span, at risk of that, I'm not saying that's not the case, but at risk of sounding like I have zero attention span, Master Chief hasn't shot a gun since episode 1 at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, this show's kind of been focusing on his own internal struggles as opposed to the external struggles of the Covenant. They've kind of been brewing that conflict in the background. They did... I don't want to say they did a good job, but they did a job of Covenant fighting. Look at all this awesome stuff. Are you hooked? Great. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. Mm-hmm. And let's get into the behind the scenes and John's head and figure out what's going on with him. It's like, well, you could have done this a little better, but like the concept is there, and the concept is not inherently flawed. You just didn't execute it perfectly, but that's okay. I was willing to forgive it. And it seems to pay off by the end of episod 5. Granted, it pays off by the end of episode 5.
Yeah,
so
5 really brought me back to life. I was flatlining pretty hard.
For a show that's centered around a game that's just first-person combat, to make it very uncombat centric for such a big chunk of time, especially early on.
That's also, they said that they're inspired a lot more by the books, right?
Yes, they took a lot more inspiration from the books than the games.
Right. I don't know necessarily how slow the books are.
I mean, not even... Think about it if you're a Hollywood exec, right?
Let's keep talking so
There's
Chris,
not
you actually...
a whole lot of, like, slow down moments in the books. They do keep up, like, quite a bit of action.
Yes, but, like... I can only imagine, I have no proof of this, but if you're a Hollywood exec and they want you to make a Halo game and they tell you to do your homework, or they want you to make a Halo show, your homework is not going to be playing the games. The games, believe it or not, have a kind of high barrier to entry. Like my dad, for example, he's a great PC gamer. Shout out, Dad. I'm pretty sure you're still a listener. My dad loves playing PC games, but he can't handle Xbox because that double analog just doesn't do it for him. There's some disconnect between his hands and the controller where he just can't look and shoot at the same time. And I imagine that there's a lot of people, especially in the older generation, that just can't do that. So the games are inaccessible to them unless you're watching them. But I mean,
one of the funniest like differences of personality I've ever seen was I've once seen my dad play Halo, and specifically it was Halo actually, which is funny enough.
Yeah.
And could not look around, so literally he was just strafing back and forth looking in one direction like it was like Doom. And then I've seen my mom play Halo before. Neither of these people have ever touched video games in their life. And she overactively used the analog stick, so she was looking at the sky, she was looking at the ground, and it's just like it was fascinating to me where it's just like one person just shoots at the horizon and never looks up or down, and one person
just shoots at their feet.
cannot look at anything. Just physically can't focus on one thing. She was like actively using both analogs at all times. It was really interesting.
It's a skill set that I've learned more and more as I get older that we have since we grew up with it, and there are people that just don't have that because it's not something they grew up with. They grew up in the more two-dimensional era of games where there wasn't a move and a look stick separate from one another. So it's very interesting to see that divide. And I imagine if you're a Hollywood executive, you're certainly not a 20-something or even maybe a 30-something who grew up with playing video games like that.
You can watch like a YouTube playthrough or something.
They're not going to do that. They don't have the time for that. They're just going to grab a book or listen to an audiobook.
Sure. I get it, but
and that's if they did their homework at all. They could have just like read a Wikipedia summary of something.
Right.
And I'm guessing. I have no fucking clue, but if I'm a Hollywood exec doing my homework, I'm certainly not going to fucking play a 30-40 hour game to do homework for a show when you can just listen to an audiobook while you're working out and kill two birds, one stone. You're a busy man. You got shit to do.
Why did they kill the birds?
I am not a busy man.
Well, I'm assuming that.
Well, yeah, you're laying on the floor for 6 hours a day, you fucking bum. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, bringing ice packs to sit on, Grandpa.
Listen, it was a bad time.
It's okay.
Still to this day, if I sneeze, it hurts.
So episode 4 was certainly a little bit of a slower build with the John storyline, and eventually he does end up finding the artifact, and he does kind of realize Halsey's been lying to him a lot. and he's piecing a lot of this together. And we're gonna blend 4 and 5 a little bit here together. Sorry, folks, but if you're still listening to the podcast at this point, you've watched episodes 4 and 5. So shut up and just listen.
Or you really don't care.
Or you don't care. Just shut up and listen anyway.
You either have watched it or will never watch it.
But after John finds the artifact and he realizes Halsey's been lying to him a whole lot, he openly tries to attack Halsey, and Cortana just straight up knocks him out. She just deactivates the neural bridge, which I guess is just like his brain communicating to his muscles, and he just almost like what was that fucking movie? But he just like stops midair and then just falls, and he's just down, and he's just unconscious.
You see, actually, funny enough, the neural bridge is a physical bridge, and the thought is sort of like Han Solo, and Cortana was sort of like Kylo Ren, yeah.
Killing the thought and pushing it off the bridge.
Yeah.
And then Captain Keyes is J.J. Abrams blowing up the entire facility and making it all worthless.
Not in that movie. That movie's... I mean, it's him blowing up his body? What?
Force Awakens is just almost beat for beat an analog of New Hope.
But hey, we're not talking about The Force Awakens.
We're not going to go.
No. We've beaten that horse to death and then some. And the subplot going on with Quan, I don't even fucking know what's going on. Chris, you got an idea? I'm throwing this to you.
I mean, I am following what the subplot is. She's still trying to find the resistance movement on her planet of Madrigal.
But they get there, and there isn't a resistance movement.
There is no resistance movement because all the generals are dead, and everybody else is like, no, we'd rather just worry about the Covenant than the UNSC for now.
Right.
Which is a fair thing to come up with. Like,
it's not an unreasonable train of thought.
The space aliens that can literally turn our planet into a glass marble is a bit scarier than the government.
I mean, if you ask my roommate John, who's a secret anarchist, then I'm sorry, he's not a secret anarchist. Well, he's an open anarchist.
Yeah, he's open now because you just outed him.
Yeah, totally.
Come on, man.
He would absolutely argue the government is a bit scarier threat than any sort of space aliens. But no, that's a good. It's a good.
You know,
train
actually,
of thought.
John Government also listens to this podcast, so you know.
John Government?
Yeah, the guy in charge of the government.
Biden?
No, John Government. That's what's the government.
Is that Q?
He's the secret president. No. Oh, I'm sorry. The open president now.
You just drag the president out of the closet, man. Come on.
Hey.
Yeah, so it gets real weird with Quan's storyline, and she and Soren are kind of looking for a resistance, and then there isn't one. So Soren's like, we're going to leave. So they go back to his ship, but it's been taken apart by scrappers.
Oh, I just want to call out like this one scene where she's talking to her aunt. She's like, your father talked to some mystics, and then he's like, came back with the idea that he had to save this planet, and it's all very Dune-like, and I'm like, I don't like this.
No, it feels...
If I wanted to watch Dune, I would go back and watch Dune because it was great.
Exactly. So here's the thing, right? And I believe the two of you on the couch just now had this idea, but my original critique of this show in episode 1 was that it felt like a generic sci-fi show with a halo glaze on top, right? Mm-hmm. However, it seems like now that John has separated from Quan as far as the storylines go, Quan is still a generic sci-fi story, and John is actually like an alternate Halo universe doing a Halo over there.
You said it's almost like a rip-off Firefly sort of thing.
Yeah,
because they're like in the desert.
They're on a desert planet. Fucking Soren's got that like duster jacket on. He's literally got a revolver.
He's got like a pirate western sort of feel to him.
He's Black Captain Reynolds with a janky arm. Like it's literally the same character.
Although, how would you feel if Nathan Fillion showed up in this show?
He's in the universe.
He would fucking play Buck.
He's
in
the
ODST.
He would play Buck if Nathan Fillion shows up.
Every guard that I've seen, Marine that I've seen, I've just been like, what if that one was Buck?
What if that one's Buck? just in there, because Marines can be ODSTs, right?
Marines are not ODSTs. ODSTs are specially trained Marines. Basically, they've been through enough combat and they've gone through special
right, but you don't
training.
have to go through the augmentation process to be an ODST.
No, they do not have the same augments that Spartans do.
Right. So, I mean, generic guy with a helmet could turn into an ODST.
ODSTs are basically the midpoint between Marines and Spartans.
Yeah.
What's Rookie?
He's an ODST.
Yeah, he's like also he's like in that game supposed to be like the worst one. I was trying to see if you had a joke.
Wait, you're supposed to be like a terrible ODST?
No, I don't think you're supposed to be terrible. You're just supposed to be the generic guy who has no face.
Yeah, that's why you're a rookie.
Yeah, I know.
And you're not
I was
Buck.
fishing for a joke, Jeff. I was fishing for a joke, and you gave me a real answer, and now I'm sad.
Moving on. You can do it. I believe in you. Play the purple one in the top left. If
you hit them all, they'll all be. You'll eventually get there.
You can just cut out the crap where you press the wrong ones. That way you look nice and
not if we
smart.
keep talking.
Yeah, thanks. I was literally thinking about that, and then y'all just kept bringing it up. Now it's got to stay in because now it's funnier. But yeah, so Quan has just embarked on this weird ass fucking Dune bullshit without the spice, and it's just God damn, I hate it.
The only ending I will accept to Quan's little character fucking arc is when Madrigal gets fucking glassed.
Yeah.
And she's standing on the planet looking up at the Covenant and being like, man, I really should have just fucking allied with the UNSC to take care of this bullshit.
Honestly. Like, and currently, and not currently anymore, but while she's on Madrigal, so is McKee and her army of, like, fucking elites and grunts and shit, because they're looking for any trace of the artifacts they can find out where the other one is. So, like, at any point, when they left, they could have just been like, all right, glass this place. Who fucking cares?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't. And I wish they did. Oh, my God, do I wish they did. Let Soren escape last minute with Quan or some shit, but I really wish they would have glassed the planet.
When you set out to make a Halo show, you need to understand that the insurrectionist movement of all the colonies is a background conflict.
Yeah.
It's not important to the main plot, which is the Covenant trying to find Halo to go on their mythical journey.
I have a
which
question.
happens to exterminate life in the universe as we know it.
Yeah.
I have a question. If you go back to the generic sci-fi show argument, if this was a show and Master Chief never shows up in it, and it was from beginning to end, this girl gets she starts on the planet, aliens show up, she meets a pirate, they go to Madrigal and tries to find the Resistance. It never cuts away to Halsey and Chief. What's your opinion of that show?
Fucking garbage, man.
I don't want to watch it.
I wouldn't watch past episode 2. I really wouldn't. The subplot with Quan and Soren cannot hold my interest at all. And I don't know what it is, but I just don't give a fuck.
Quan does not seem to grasp the reality of her situation.
She doesn't. And
there is a reason there is no fucking resistance movement.
So there's this scene, right? So while Quan is talking to her aunt, an assassin hired by Governor Vinsher
James
shows
Franco.
up. No, but her name is
That's the
Franco.
butt that we get to see in this episode.
Yeah. Well, 2 butts, because we saw Kai's butt. No, that was episode 4, I'm sorry.
But this is still episode 4.
Oh, this is still episode 4?
2 butts for one episode.
2 butts for the price of one.
I've changed my mind. This is a thumbs up now.
Which makes up for episode 5 because it has no butts, but it has a lot of gore.
It has so much gore. Anyway, but Governor Vinsher hires an assassin named Franco to assassinate Quan and Soren. And she shows up and kills the aunt while they're talking, and then they're running away. And then right after that, as they're running away, at the same time, Miranda Keyes is talking with Spartan Kai, who has removed her pellet. She's put gun grease in her hair to give it some red streaks just because she can, because she's starting to feel things. And Miranda is having this conversation with Kai about how maybe you're just a glitch, but Dr. Halsey doesn't tolerate glitches. You know, she wants people to function as they're programmed to. She doesn't appreciate human reactions, which would be anything acting on passion or emotion. And she delivers this speech while Quan is running away with Soren. And it kind of zooms in on Quan to kind of be like, yeah, she's acting on emotion and with passion. There's no logic here. And it's like, you're right. There is no logic here. So why the fuck is she doing this? They're trying to frame Quan as this pure human on this passionate
Human.
mission. No, this passionate mission
Human,
to avenge her father.
P-U.
She's trying to avenge her father's death.
Man.
Avenge her father's death to kill Governor Vinsher because she views him as the enemy and all. But, like, she keeps walking around looking for allies. There's literally no one that wants to help her. And it seems like the bad guys just won. And sometimes the bad guys win. You just gotta pack it up and go the fuck home. Stop it.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Stop
it's
it.
not like real
Get some
life where
help.
the good guy
Yeah,
always
now would be a
wins.
good time to use that fucking iPad, Troy.
No.
Mm.
I'd have to turn it on and like scroll
It
through
is
things.
on. You just have to
Yeah,
unlock it.
keep going. I'll get it for next time. It's ready for next time.
Anyway, but it just seems, and Soren even has that throwaway line where he says, "You're not grasping the reality of your situation." She's not. She's really fucking not, and it's pissing me off at this point. She's going down this like terrible dead end suicide mission path, and it just seems completely fucking bonkers and unnecessary, and I hate it. I need to add Chris.
No. I really can't add any more to this character. I guess the actress is doing a fine job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with the acting.
She's probably doing as she's directed to.
I don't think that there's anybody in this show doing a bad job. I think Miranda Keyes is a little stiff, in my opinion, but not like horribly so.
No, and it's gotta be. I'm wondering how much of that is on purpose.
That's what, yeah.
Because she's the child of a captain and a highly successful military doctor. So I imagine her whole childhood has been kind of like rigid.
Yeah.
Maybe she just doesn't know how to function as a human being. you know?
Right.
So who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
But however, she does have that one interesting bit in episode 4, excuse me, where she uses the Spartans' knowledge of the Covenant to try to create a cipher to figure out what the Covenant are saying, which is fucking awesome because there is that whole like garbled bit of Covenant speak from that ship that got taken over in episode 3 that they're trying to decipher.
Oh.
So
While we're discussing this, I think the rest of Silver Team, excluding Master Chief, are probably some of the most interesting characters on this show.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially Kai. She's become my favorite.
Kai is amazing.
I would go as far as saying I think they're all more interesting than Master Chief in
Definitely.
the show.
I mean,
But that's because Master Chief's character arc has been jumbled up.
Mhm.
his arc has been jumbled up, and historically, Chief has always kind of been a bit bland as a human being.
Mhm.
He's a man of very few words in the games, which was by design when they came out because you're not supposed to talk.
Right.
But then eventually it just kind of became his signature. And he's just kind of the quiet guy who just does what he's told and gets the job done and wins the day. And then he's like, great, back in the cryopod, wake me for the next game. And that's kind of just been his whole thing. And in this show, they try to give him a personality. And I feel like it's just not quite working, but I don't know how much of that is the show's fault versus how much John
It's
just
not even like
sucks.
horribly. He again with actors, he's doing fine.
Yeah, he's actually doing fine.
And
what's his name? He's somebody's brother.
it's Pablo Schreiber. He's
Thank you.
Liev Schreiber's brother.
Thank you. No, don't keep talking as I'm trying to look up the show on my computer. No,
you got it.
You just let everything grind to a fucking halt. There you go.
It's Ray Donovan, by the way. That's what you're trying to look up, I think.
No, it's not.
No?
No.
Were you trying to look up Liev Schreiber, or what were you looking up?
No, I was looking up Halo. I was trying to look up
I see.
the cast list.
Never
But that's
mind.
fine. No, just
I got it.
grind everything to a fucking halt, Troy. You do you, buddy. I can always count on you, man.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
I used the iPad.
didn't
if
expect
it makes you
that.
feel any better.
I didn't expect the Spanish Inquisition.
So what happens after this?
So, after this, fucking, dude, everything just comes apart in episode 5, and it's so great. They have, like, the whole army is there on, what's it called? Eridnus?
Eridnus 2.
Eridnus 2. Thank you. Eridnus 2, they're all there trying to, like, excavate this artifact. They can't seem to figure out how to do it, which seems odd. You're the UNSC. Just pluck it. Just grab it, pull. Like a loose tooth. I don't understand why this is so hard. But
Well, they don't have any dentists in the NFC.
Yeah, I guess not.
They all have like hyper teeth that they bred from birth to be good.
I guess so.
Their teeth activate slip space ruptures that clean their teeth for them.
Yeah, I
That
guess
sounds
so.
dangerous.
But they're sitting there working on the
Your
artifact.
teeth all get sucked out and through a black hole.
Yeah, they're trying to work on the artifact, and Halsey at first is like, "Stay away from it, Chief. We don't know what it might do to you, so you better back off." But in the back of her head, she's like, "That's going to tell you that I kidnapped you from your parents. You really shouldn't touch that thing, or I'm in big trouble. Thank you."
This is gonna be the ASMR podcast.
All right, so what they do is, right,
no.
they find the
Oh
stone.
no, he's going back.
This has turned into the Aussie podcast.
No.
now.
No, this is the Moon Knight podcast.
He was trying to go for Moon Knight.
Oscar
Oh,
Isaac, because he
that
does
would be
that
because
fake
I
London
don't
accent,
watch Moon Knight.
which is why you weren't on the podcast for that. No, so they find the stone. They're doing their thing, and the idiot breaks it using a laser. He like breaks the
Discount Mark
So
Zuckerberg.
the
Call him by
artifact
his
is
name.
like within a crystal.
Yes.
So they use a laser to break the crystal.
It was like one of those soaps that you bought as a kid that had the T-Rex on the inside, and if you used the soap enough, you would get the T-Rex toy. You haven't seen these? You haven't used
No,
these?
I know exactly what Troy's talking
Thank
about.
you. Do you know what these are, Jeff?
No, you think I know what soap is?
Oh, okay, well,
Soap
and
burn.
also dinosaurs aren't real. Anyway.
dinosaurs aren't real.
Yeah.
They're only 5,000 years old.
Yeah, wait, I mean, listen, bones are in the ground. I don't know what to tell you.
They were placed there to test our faith, Troy.
That's true.
Come on. This just became the Latter-day Saints podcast. LDS Church up in here. Let's go.
We're going to relocate to
Utah. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about those sinners in the covenant.
Yeah.
Weird that the sinners are in the covenant.
Discount Mark Zuckerberg ends up breaking the crystal open. The artifact is exposed. Chief is there. You see it in all its glory. Sure enough, there's a hole in the middle that'll perfectly fit the other artifact. And, Halsey's kind of scared because she's like, oh, no, don't touch it, Chief. But at the same time, she's like, I want to touch it. I want to touch all the things. And
we should also point out that when this crystal break, McKee, who is on magical
yes.
gets a vision of its location.
Yes, she suddenly realizes they're on Arrakis.
There's a lot of convenient plot visions in this show also.
Yeah.
There are, but they also I'm willing to let it slide because they have not yet explained McKee and John's connection to the artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there is actually like a psychological or psychic connection to these things.
I thought for a solid second, back to episode 4 for like 2 seconds. There's a scene where I missed that they called the dog Ellie, and he says something along the lines of like, his mom's like, what'd you do today? And he's like, I just ran around with Ellie or whatever. And I was just like, oh shit, are they gonna say that like Mackie is Ellie and she's also on this planet and they were friends? And like I was like expecting a reveal.
I think it's McKee, not Mackie. Mackie is
no, it's Anthony Mackie
guidance
is actually
counselor
Anthony Mackie is actually the one I was talking about.
Oh my god, Anthony Mackie is doing a really good job as McKee.
Yeah,
Don't even recognize him.
Yeah, that was great.
Talk about disappearing into a role. Am I right, guys? Johnny
Yeah.
Depp's got nothing on this guy.
Also, there's not even wings.
Shut up. Where the fuck was I? Who cares? Artifact stuff happens. John confronts Kai about removing her pellet, and she's like super happy because she like feels like she can confide in him. But he's just like, "No, you're grounded. I can't trust you. You're not combat
Goes,
ready."
But Dad,
Kinda. She's like, "But what makes you so special? Why are you ready?"
I
And she
hate
just
this
storms
entire
off.
fucking interaction with Chief because he's such a fucking hypocrite.
He's a huge hypocrite, and he doesn't realize it. I hope. But like, and Cortana even pointed out to him. She was like, you haven't done any battle readiness things ever since you removed your pellet, neither. And he was like, meh.
Cortana, stop talking.
Yeah, he says, Cortana, do me a favor, anything. Stop talking. Can't hear myself think. And then she literally comes back like a whiny woman. She's just, or a whiny brat, not a whiny woman. I don't know why I said that.
Jeff laying on the sexism in this podcast yet again. Interesting.
She's like, I can hear what's going on, and you're not missing much. Like, she literally says it like in a snide tone, and I'm just like, wow, I didn't know AI's got sarcasm.
Hey Alexa.
No, don't do that.
I tried to
she's been
stop
activated.
before it activated. Fuck.
You didn't though. It's fine. He'll shut himself off later. Because my Alexa has the male voice. What at me, internet? Fucking get at me. Actually,
So you do hate women.
the one in my living room has the male voice. The dot in our bedroom has the female voice.
What does?
We have a dot.
I was trying to get you to say Alexa.
No,
again.
there's the Echo, and then there's the Echo Dot. But the new Echoes are like a sphere instead of the original tower, and I do not like the shape of the sphere.
I also just realized that we probably set off people's Alexas.
I know, that's why I don't say words like Alexa, Siri, or
Well, now you
Hey
did.
Cortana.
Now you did.
Yeah, I just pissed off everyone all at once. Come at me, internet.
Oh wait, you forgot one. Hey Google.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the worst one, in my opinion. Anyway.
Not Hey Cortana. I love Microsoft. I
No,
love
I
Cortana. Theirs sucks.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong. I want
they're
Jen
all
Taylor to
bad.
narrate my entire day, but I don't I don't like saying "Hey Cortana."
Well, you just wanted to walk 5 feet behind you and just narrate things that you're
just
doing.
Say things.
She doesn't even have to walk 5 feet behind me. Just give me like some Google glasses and have her voice in it, and then just like transmit it directly
Like
into my
Edith
brain.
from Spider-Man.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
From the glasses in the Spider-Man 2 that
We
Jake
need to have
Gyllenhaal
a fucking
gets.
Halo.
God,
It's
if I
like
had
the only
if I had
time-
Jen Taylor in my head, I would be going fucking insane listening to her.
Oh God, it'd be great, right?
No, it's because somebody's talking in my fucking head.
Oh well, yeah, that the voices are real. I swear, Doctor.
I've been clawing at my fucking temples.
Jesus Christ. None of this really matters except that we see a bit of Miranda's relationship with her parents revealed in that, like, it's kind of combative between her and her mother, but then, like, at the end when the attack happens, her mother runs out to go save her. So, like, Halsey does have a little bit of a heart.
The
maybe.
attack, Jeff? What attack?
Well, we're getting to that.
Whoa.
So after Chief touches the fucking artifact and steps away from it and wakes up, after Cortana shuts him down and he wakes up, the Covenant show up. Cortana's just like slipstream.
Yeah, one
something.
writer walks into the writer's room and goes, "Hey guys, we haven't had a Covenant fight in like a long time," and people are like, "Ah, shit."
Let's put it on episode 5, which is also the shortest episode so far of the series. But it works. The Covenant show up. They're trying to get the artifact, right? So Chief and his team, they roll out in full force. Kai shows up to help, even though Chief said she was grounded. She's given sniper support. Chief is in the Warthog doing stuff and running around. And there's this fucking... I laughed out loud. Chief is running around shooting at enemies, and Cortana says, switch to your secondary. And Chief says, I know how the game is played, Cortana. And I'm just like, yo, that's funny.
Also, funnily enough, his primary is the Magnum, so Halo 1 Magnum confirmed.
Oh, absolutely. Halo 1 Magnum has always been a primary weapon. The AR is a secondary.
They should have
always.
shown it like he's like shooting the Magnum and it, like goes through like 3 enemies. Like just make it like absurdly strong. Just like be like, we know.
We know. The handgun is like super powerful. And then, oh God, there's a scene in episode 4 where Kai is explaining how a needler works and how the needles just know to target living tissue. And then bam, there's nothing left but pink mist. And then it's like, wow, that sounds like a terrible thing to happen. And then in the fight on the Warthog, the gunner gets hit with a bunch of needles and then explodes into a gory mist. And it was so fucking brutal, and it came out of left field. I didn't see it coming. I
Now
don't know why I didn't
imagine
see it
if
coming.
this was episode 3.
Yeah, right?
Kai's
But, like-
dialogue about the Needler is, I'm pretty sure, just directly ripped from the wiki.
Oh, it has to be, right? But at the same time, like, that's in character for the
Oh, yeah.
Spartans. Spartans have an encyclopedic knowledge of shit like that.
Yep.
But, oh God, it was so cool watching a dude just get blown apart by the Needler.
Also, we finally got grunts and jackals.
Grunts and jackals!
We get a brute.
And a brute with a gravity hammer. Oh,
God,
It was
I wish
so
this
good.
happened last episode.
there was so much awesome fan service happening in this fight. I mean,
I feel like there's almost a weird thing where I'm like, I feel like there's a lot of Halo fans watching this show that just wanted this every episode. And I kind of am like, yeah, that'd be cool, but would it be very good? And then there's like a part of it where like the like sort of drama talk, like long drag out talking things for like 3 episodes long about science and feelings and whatever is like, yeah, that's probably good to sprinkle in there to make it so it's not just like a shoot fest. Like, it's not just like a 0 brain cell, turn your brain off, they shoot at aliens kind of thing. And I think that they just needed to bridge that divide a little bit more. Because when he's shooting everything in the scene, and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I have not liked this show for like 2 whole hours now. And I'm kind of back in, like, immediately.
I really agree with what you said. However, the more I think about it, the more I'm wondering, they use the Covenant fights sparingly because they know they're good. And also, you can't just have the good guys win every time.
That's
because
true.
that's not a good show.
Mhm.
And if they lose, that means people have to die. And you can't be killing off motherfuckers too
Right,
often.
it's not Game of Thrones.
Right. So I imagine the sparing use of the Covenant fights, at least so far, is on purpose. For the sake of not either artificially raising the stakes and having the audience figure that out, or just for the sake, like, we don't want them to have a fight for the sake of a fight.
Right.
Like you were saying. So while I want more Covenant fights, I also think I'm designed to want more Covenant fights because of the way they're pacing this show.
I mean,
so I think
They don't need to
might
be on
a
the
little-
same level as these two, though. Like, the two that we've seen are pretty much like all-out base gets destroyed.
Oh yeah, remember
There's,
when
like,
that one kid got its legs cut off and
Yeah.
then again it got hit and obliterated?
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome.
Like, if you do, like, a few, like, Master Chief finds, like, a scouting group or whatever of, like, a few... I don't know. It's then at that point, you're rewriting the whole show. Like,
yeah. That's not...
Hey,
I
let's rewrite the whole show.
I don't have too many complaints with the way they're doing it, but it does seem really
Honestly,
awesome
it
every
would
time.
probably be a lot better pace if they just removed the Quan Ha subplot.
Honestly, yeah, because then we would have gotten here in episode 3 instead of 5.
Yeah.
But Quan Ha has to have her subplot, I guess.
And I like Soren, too.
Soren's
Like,
cool.
like-
Soren's very cool.
Soren's an awesome character. But then, so Chief, like, jumps off of the Warthog with the artifact to go save Kai, who's just been hit and bloodied and going down because her pellet's no longer working. So she's actually living the horrors of war and can't handle it. She starts, like, shutting down. So Chief runs to go save her. He jumps off a cliff, jumps on a Banshee, doesn't hijack it, instead shoots through the top to kill the driver, and then just, like, steers it into the main Covenant dropship, hits it, the dropship explodes, jackals die, we see half of a jackal with entrails sticking out, just like crawling across the sand, and then there's other jackals there and grunts like ready for the fight. Keys is there, he's okay. Kai is probably okay. We haven't heard from her since that, but I assume she lived through it.
So when Chief was brutalizing that elite, she was like talking
Yeah,
to
she was
him,
saying stop.
and then I guess she passed out.
She probably just passed out. She'll be fine. But then the artifact was a distance away on the sand, and Chief runs for it, and then the fucking brute shows up with his hammer. Chief grabs a jackal shield last second for protection. Fucking awesome little fight. And I say little because it didn't last super long because the brute just kind of like grabs the artifact with one hand, almost like second-mindedly.
Also, there's
and
this.
then just
There's the line that the brute has where he goes, "Okay, bye," and then just kind of.
Yeah, and then Chief says that line, Cortana, I need a weapon, which I believe is from Halo 2?
Yep.
Yeah.
Very beginning of Halo 2.
Yeah.
That's-
it's like straight fan service.
That's sort of like what I'm talking about with these fights versus like the rest of the show is like with the fights happen and they're just like
fan
there's, like-
service. You
there's,
guys
like,
love
yeah,
Halo,
there's like
right?
the one
Here you
guy
go.
who played Halo and like has seen Reddit memes of them being like, what if they made a Halo show or whatever? And he's just like, I got this. And then there's like actual writers who are like, we'll make a show though.
Yeah. But the brute ends up with the artifact and he runs away. And then we see McKee on board the dropship, and she says, make it look convincing. And then she falls down in her drop pod. She blasts down to the surface as the Covenant leave. And then she's just like passes out, like I guess it's faked or something, while on the beach while Chief is just staring at her.
The Covenant Corvette like fires a couple times at the drop pod, so I'm guessing that's what they meant by like
yeah,
make it
maybe
look
like
convincing.
try to sell it as if I'm running away,
Mm-hmm.
so that she can like immerse herself in the UNSC and try to destroy them from within.
But when she hops out of the drop pod, she's fucking unscathed.
Yeah, and she just
She
like
looks like she's been freshly moisturized. She
Yeah,
has
this
her
is-
makeup on.
This is the second.
moisturize me.
This is the second time where I'm like, yeah, maybe ask a few questions, guys.
Well,
The
Chief
first
is,
time they did.
She has like in-flight peanuts with her still.
So that's the best part, though. I feel like
She's wearing a shirt that says "I heart the Covenant."
Chief is definitely going to be. You know what? If they do a Lego Halo TV series game, that's exactly what it would be for the joke. Which is she comes out in a shirt that says "I heart the Covenant." Because I believe in the original Lego Star Wars, there's a scene where you like meet Palpatine while he's still a senator, and he's wearing a shirt that says "I heart the dark side," and then he quickly like puts his senator robes on.
I've seen a bunch of YouTube videos because I didn't buy the game.
No, the first one back in like 2004.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying the new one. I've seen a bunch of stuff where Kylo Ren's walking around with an I Heart Vader shirt a bunch of times.
Oh yeah. But she's the drop pod falls, the door opens. We can clearly see McKee's silhouette, and Cortana says, "Chief, I'm detecting a human life form." And then he grabs a plasma pistol off the ground. So like, Chief does not give a fuck. He is skeptical AF. He doesn't give a shit who you are. You came out of a Covenant dropship. I've got some fucking questions, and you're gonna answer them from the other end of a barrel. Like, there's no doubt in my mind, Chief is gonna handle this professionally, and I don't. or at least at first. I really hope McKee doesn't like get to him or some shit. Or if she does, I hope Cortana intervenes or something. She has to, right?
The way the show's been going, I feel like she might have a little too much leeway for a while.
Yeah. Anyway, that kind of wraps up our coverage of 4 and 5. Predictions for 6, Troy.
Hold on.
Chris,
I
Chris,
wanted
Chris.
to talk a little bit about the Kwan Ha subplot and its many, 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 many problems.
Go for it. You have the floor for 2 minutes.
So when Kwan Ha is trapped in the fucking desert because Soren, leaves her to go find a new ride, she manages to use hardened sand to break her metal restraints because she's literally chained to a fucking motorcycle.
Uh-huh.
And then she gets free somehow, hides in the fucking sand, and manages to ambush Soren. That doesn't fucking work because Soren is still a Spartan.
Yeah.
It's a bad characterization. It's a bad little fucking
That's
scene.
how the Quan Ha plot ends at the very end of episode 5.
And then she is holding his gun to his unconscious body. And was just like,
You're not going to kill Soren. And if you do, I'm definitely checking out.
Could you fucking imagine if she did?
I'm definitely checking out. You brought one ally to this planet, and you're really going to fucking kill him? Like, he's the only person on your side on this entire planet.
And the coolest character in that whole plot line.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're really going to eliminate him? Like, there's a writer with a giant troll face and a middle finger if they're actually trying to do this. I fucking, ugh. But yeah, that concludes everything where we're at for now. What do you think's happening in episode 6? As far as John goes, don't give me shit about Quan Ha. I don't want to hear it.
I am of two minds. I am, on one hand, like, they're going to go back to, it's like a slow burn sort of thing, trying to figure out about not McKee. How do you it is McKee, okay.
You said Mackie.
Okay,
That's
gotcha.
why I made fun of you.
Gotcha.
John
gotcha.
McKay.
But
Female Covenant lady.
she like is gonna get like her own sort of slow burn lab side talk, or because now there is a villain in the vicinity, the show's gonna pick up and I'll be like, the second half was actually pretty good. Like, those are my two sort of mindsets of it.
Okay, Chris, thoughts?
They're gonna have to go back to Reach because they don't have like their frigate anymore to chase after the Covenant. So they'll probably interrogate McKee
On Reach, where she has access to the artifact.
Yep. Chief will be on Kai's bedside as she's recovering.
Oh, are they going to force a love plot?
I doubt it.
I really hope they don't.
If so, that only proves that they've been butchering Chief's entire character this entire time.
Exactly. Ugh. Anyway, God, I just thought about that. Ugh, I hope it doesn't happen.
Miranda and Halsey will have a little heart-to-heart.
I hope so.
I have a question for, like, far future question. Do you think either it and neither can happen, but do you think either thing will happen here of the other two Spartans lose their pellet and now all of Silver Team is pelletless, or we get Vanek versus Chief, Riz versus Kai?
Ooh. That's a good point. I don't know. If they do the whole inter-team fight thing,
I don't think they'll do inter-team fighting.
I don't think they will, but that would be interesting to see Spartan-on-Spartan violence.
Fuck, I do want to see that fight, though.
Yeah, we got teased with that in Halo 5 marketing. Remember that?
There was a fight. There was like a...
And people love Halo 5. People think Halo 5 is the best one. Anyway.
Yeah, sure they
Locke
do.
tickles Master Chief, and then Master Chief like fucking throws a chair at him.
He goes, knock it off. You know I'm ticklish there.
All
Stop.
they needed for that game was fucking Vince McMahon to do some voiceover like, oh, and it's Chief with the steel chair.
Chief off the top rope.
Oh.
That's basically how that fight went.
Honestly.
He just pulls a random steel chair out of nowhere.
I'm very curious to see where it goes with Kai telling the other two that she has removed her pellet, because I feel like Vanek and Riz are definitely smart enough to realize something's up with Kai, and she is definitely different. They're not just going to let her walk this off like, hey, you fell in battle. What gives? You stopped fighting. Why? Or like, hey, you've been a lot different lately. Please tell us why. Like they're definite because like she has this moment on the ship where she asks Vanek like, "Have you never wondered why you don't wonder why?" And he's just like, "Why you asking me dumbass questions?" Like there's gonna be some sort of
Play
like
stupid games, win stupid prizes.
there's gonna be some sort of like either conflict or resolution between the team, and hopefully if they become a more cohesive unit against the Covenant. I'm very curious to see where that goes.
It's also interesting that because they were so interesting in episode 4, I decided to learn their names.
Yeah, right. Well, they actually gave them like characters.
Yeah.
They weren't just names on helmets.
Mm-hmm.
Because in episode 1, it was just
God,
like
Vanek's really like the perfect Master Chief, though.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
fucked up.
He's a much better Master Chief
The Halo
than John.
subreddit agrees.
I think you mentioned it last time, and ever since then, I've been thinking about it.
All right. Unfortunately, we got to wrap up now because I have to go to work.
And I need to ice my back again.
Exactly.
And I don't gotta do anything.
You have no life.
I don't.
So that
Loser.
concludes this episode of the TB&J podcast. Thanks to my co-hosts Troy and Chris for being here.
I'll go back into the podcast closet.
Yeah, you will.
I'm going to go lie on the floor.
Yeah. Thank you all for listening so much. We really appreciate it. If you liked what you heard, please leave us a kind review on your favorite podcasting platform.
About
and,
me. About me specifically.
Like and subscribe on YouTube and all that fun stuff. You can catch us on Twitter at the TBJ Pod and on YouTube at TB&J Podcast. And yeah, that is it. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Or an okay day. We can't tell you to live your life. It's okay to have a bad day. Let yourself have a bad day.
I'm just going to go ahead and mute your mic real quick.
We all love